Is the Spirit Bomb the strongest attack? It's defeated some of Dragon Ball's most dangerous enemies, and at its biggest, it can become absolutely enormous. It's easy to look at this giant spear and think, okay, it's obviously Goku's largest and strongest attack, but it's a much harder question than that because the Spirit Bomb has one huge advantage that none of other Goku's techniques really have, and it's that the power isn't limited to Goku's own energy. The biggest reason people consider the Spirit Bomb Goku's strongest attack is pretty simple when you look at it. He's used it against Vegeta, he's used it against Frieza, he eventually uses the biggest version against Kid Buu, and these are not random enemies. We're talking about opponents who completely overwhelmed Goku and his allies to the point of exhaustion. So the Spirit Bomb clearly has an extremely high ceiling, but there's a difference between having an incredibly high ceiling and then being the strongest attack that Goku can actually produce. That's where things get interesting. The Spirit Bomb doesn't have one fixed amount of power, right? It's Goku gathering energy from living things around him, so that amount of energy available depends on the situation that he's in. If Goku is surrounded by a relatively small amount of life, he's working with one amount. If he's able to gather energy from an entire planet, well then that's something completely different. And if he can gather energy on an even larger scale, the attack gets even bigger. And we've seen that in the Majin Buu saga. Incredibly powerful, but also sometimes it can be incredibly inconvenient if conventional attacks are just not getting the job done. Goku is vulnerable when he has to manifest and call in energy and focus energy in for the Spirit Bomb. He can't attack, he can't fight, so it's an extremely high gamble. I mean, it's the highest gamble he can really do outside of pushing himself beyond the limits of Kaioken, right? Because again, of the vulnerability of not being able to actually properly defend himself. The Spirit Bomb isn't designed to be the attack that Goku uses every time he wants maximum damage. It's designed to give him access to a completely different source of power when he needs it the most. So it's entirely possible under the right circumstances that the Spirit Bomb could contain more energy than any attack Goku could produce by himself ever. I think it's still difficult to rank whether it is his strongest attack. I'd call it something more interesting, potentially his most powerful attack under the right conditions, asterisk, asterisk. Because again, without much energy, the Spirit Bomb is nothing. He'd be better off doing a Super Kamehameha or something like that, right? And honestly, I think that's a much better description of what makes the Spirit Bomb so dangerous in the first place, because its energy is determined by the world around Goku and what is willing to be provided to that particular attack. Give me your thoughts on this.